The 5 stages of grief come to mind. With denial, it seemed upon season 1 inexplicable a show with this significant budget could be so abysmal. Anger would come with the constant poaching of dialogue from superior works. Bargaining, well, I tried that with being positive a few episodes back. Alas, it didn't work out. Depression, well, no.
I don't care anymore. I'm joking. I never did.
Was my earnest stance upon the conclusion of Season 1, and so comes the acceptance. With the Season 2 finale, the reality is to accept this as not only an awful adaptation unworthy of Tolkien's Middle-earth, but simply as an incomprehensible, awkward, and unrecoverable mess. Down within the mines of Khazad-dûm, the old king continues to dig, and we hear the roar of the Balrog. Prince Durin confronts his father, who has now become mostly consumed by the ring's influence.
Come and see, my son. Come and see the true wealth of our mountain. Behold the dynasty of Durin.
Durin's bane predictably surfaces and attacks the king. Brandishing his axe, the old king sacrifices himself for... while visually impressive, why? What? I mean, why? What? Why? What was achieved by this sacrifice?
Fly, you fools!
Will the Balrog just consume of him, and like a bear going into hibernation after a hearty feed, Durin's bane shall simply curl up within a ball and go to sleep for thousands of years?
Come on, we can take him!
Did he genuinely believe this a possibility? Bob finally encounters the Dark Wizard.
You know me?
No, not really. That is why I just refer to you as Bob.
Know you? We are as kin.
Have you a name for him aside from Istar? Grand Elf. Say, Grand Elf? Close enough. This Dark Wizard...
That is a name I do not embrace.
Seeks to appease Bob, to present him as a friend rather than foe, and even turns on those masked buggers better suited for a Mad Max movie.
I was foolish to place trust in such low company.
That is amazing. Did the writers just arrive at the sudden conclusion they had nothing more to do with this character? Were they trying to emulate Lucas with Boba Fett? Perhaps he might gain a cult following, sell action figures. Could he come back in a spin-off, prequel or sequel? He looks pretty dead to me though, but that doesn't seem to count for much in modern media.
Stupid bastard, you've got no arms left. Yes, I have. Look! It's just a flesh wound.
If the script wills it, the script's will shall be done. We then get a clumsy retelling of the Return of the Jedi. All I could hear from these exchanges between Bob and this Dark Wizard, well, was this.
Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy as father and son.
Honestly, it would seem impossible to become any lazier with the narrative. Moreover, how did we get here? Last episode with Bob and the Harfoots, Bob had commenced his training with Tom Bombadil. The Harfoots were in the Stores village. Now they're all reunited in the village because the script said so. Seriously, I returned to episode 6 believing I'd missed something. Politicking in Numenor continues, and so begins a purge of the faithful. I assume that refers to those devoted to the Valar and who worship in temples. However, so little has gone into the world building in respect to this small faction. Who are they? What do they believe? Why do they believe? Why should we care? Has there been any effort to show us, even to tell us? I had to look online to clarify. Short attention span? Maybe, but this shit can get right dull at the best of times.
Are there any faithful in here?
No, move along.
Move along. Move along. Move along.
Father, please, there's no time to explain.
No, please, explain. There should have been more exposition, certainly considering how pointless much has been to date throughout this season. Is this a pivotal point in the plot for this season's finale? Does this further the Numenorian narrative? The delivery has been just so sloppy, hollow, and half-hearted. Even this.
Midichlorians are a microscopic life form that resides within all living cells.
Provides at least some sort of explanation, and I can't believe I'd ever use it as a reference and criticism of something else, and yet here we are.
We must leave for the west. There are faithful there, my son Anarion amongst them.
He has another son. Google search later, sure, why not? I mean, this narrative cannot be more convoluted and poorly structured. Muriel intends to martyr herself, to remain behind.
One does not need eyes to lead in the dark.
Oh no, you need this.
I give you the light of Erendiel, our most beloved star. May it be a light for you in dark places when all other lights go out.
Never mind. She just hands him some random sword.
Shots of Narsil. Blade to cut the ring.
Sauron's hand.
Reclaim your lordship, and with the sword your destiny.
Decide the ranger. Become who you are born to be.
The siege has essentially concluded, with the Region overrun and the defences crumbling. Fortunately, the commander of the Northern Armies, Warrior of the Wastelands, and the Scourge of the Orcs appears to save the fleeing innocents. She leads them through the tunnel and, upon finding herself surrounded by the foe, resorts to bartering with Adar over the 9 rings in her possession. Celebrimbor is being played for sport, riddled with arrows, reminiscent of another show.
Look what you have done to yourself.
Stop hitting yourself! Stop hitting yourself!
Celebrimbor then provokes and curses Charlie Boy.
The rings of power shall destroy you, and in the end I foresee one alone shall prove your utter ruin.
Celebrimbor is then skewered.
You are wrong. I am their creator. I am their master.
Oh, you are their prisoner.
Charlie then cries.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
If not for my belief in free speech, what this pair has done to one of the greatest fictional villains in both cinematic and literary history should be considered a hate crime. Back with the Isildur and in the Southlands, and with Theo, yet another character who, with Bronwyn's death, has nothing to do. He asks Isildur how he carries the burden of his mother's loss.
I don't care.
Estrid also appears, confesses she doesn't love Hagen, assuming that's the guy to whom she was betrothed.
I don't care.
But you see, she loves Isildur.
I know he's your friend, but I don't care.
Alas, poor old Isildur is denied his chance at love by Kemen. Kemen, now with control of this outpost, he proclaims,
Any low man wishing to remain here will deliver a regular allotment of timber from the surrounding forests for the construction of His Majesty's armada. What about the supplies you promised? The food for winter? No timber, no supplies. But I'm certain that won't be a problem for you. After all, they are only trees.
Borrowing the Palantir, I foresee a future where this Kemen receives his comeuppance. Alicia is brought before Adar, who then returns to her the ring he'd taken from young Ned Stark. Just when I believe there cannot possibly be a further decline in the storytelling, these two continuously resurface and prove me horribly wrong. This must be a scam. They must have dirt on Bezos. It must be intentional. This is a barefaced admission that the entire siege of Eregion was utterly pointless. Dobby then feigns being wounded by Charlie, betrays Adar, and we have a reversal of the fortunes from the first episode's The Ides of March. A duel between Sauron and Alicia ensues, continuing to showcase the poor casting, with Clark flailing about with her sword. No matter how much they try, she just makes for a feeble action heroine. Following his best Shang Tsung impression, we then get the persistent Charlie simping like a scorned teenager over Alicia.
I would have placed a crown on your head. I would never have rested until all Middle-earth would have been brought to its knees to worship the light of its queen.
While too late to save Eregion or the records of Celebrimbor them put ablaze to subtly evoke the imagery of the Nazis ceremoniously burning of books, the dwarves finally and conveniently arrive to salvage the situation.
And there was much rejoicing.
With Alicia grievously wounded, pinned in place by Charlie, who demands she hand him her ring, she flings herself off the side of the cliff.
All right, we'll call it a draw.
Gilly tends to Alicia's wounds.
These are not merely wounds of the body. Her very immortal spirit is being drawn into the Shadow Realm.
I hear the Shadow Realm is lovely this time of year.
Back with the Harfoots, stores whatever they lament their ruined home. We get a long-winded speech from Poppy that presumably intends to echo the one delivered by Samwise at the end of the Two Towers. In short, it's not great. We see the dwarves before an empty throne room with candles, refugees leaving Eregion, and Isildur disembarking for Valinor, leaving his true love behind. Muriel is in chains, a prisoner, and Elendil has taken flight. It would appear they at long last have the rights.
Gandalf, that's what they are going to call me, isn't it?
That was what they used to call me. Gandalf the Grey.
Disa shares her concern with the prince over the other dwarves inquiring about tribute, and to the rumours of his brother seeking to contest the throne. As for the Balrog of Morgoth, out of sight and out of mind. A new and fresh metaphor for ignoring the elephant in the room. We finish with the elves, now safe and presumably in what will become Rivendell, conversing of strategy.
We must decide whether to attack and bring the fight to him, or to fall back to prepare our defences. What course would you advise, Commander?
It's somewhat poetic, and not for the reasons intended, that she recite the lines of Celebrimbor.
It is not strength that overcomes darkness, but light.
Reminiscent of a politician spouting word salad.
What can be, unburdened by what has been.
The Rings of Power cannot merely be recognised as a betrayal of Tolkien, his lore, and world-building. To keep this succinct, and to finish with this abomination, this show consists of a series of tedious narrative strands that are horribly contrived, derivative, incomprehensible, devoid of creativity, hollow, and with often saccharine and clumsy dialogue, an adaptation populated with a myriad of unlikable and unrelatable characters. This finale might have achieved what I thought to be impossible, to even fare worse than the first season's last episode titled Alloyed. It really is that bad. If one were to argue there's more depth in reality television, I may struggle to argue in the Rings of Power's defence. I concede. I yield. No more for me.
Guarantee what's coming to you! I'll bite your legs off!
In earnest, one can only hope this is the end. Another series with potential swiftly forgotten and absent from lingering memory. I bid you adieu, Rings of Power Season 2. You will not be missed.